But yeah, okay. Welcome everybody to the 2024 AGM for GENOA Incorporated Association. And it's a real joy to actually be here and to see you all and reconnect with you. And just to still feel like, even though I'm a step away and out, that, that things, just continue to flower and blossom, and that I can also step back in and I can still feel part of everything. So it's really wonderful, and I appreciate all that's happening. And just, yeah, very excited to see how GENOA will continue to evolve in the next few years. So welcome to this AGM, and pass it back to you, Ken.
Thanks, Judy. So with that, I'm just sharing screen to the slide. And so we went through the attunement, opening remarks by Judy. Oh, I had to edit your public officer. And we have approved the previous notes. Now move on to the 2023 activity report. We have continued to have frequent meetings, online meetings among ourselves. We had less council meetings last year because there was also less going on. Totally in the year, we had 6 council meetings, while the Gen NSC was still happening every 4 weeks. For 4 weeks to now it's 6 weeks, with at least a member of us being present. And for Gen GA, there was a meeting for Gen GA at the end of last year, 23rd of November. And Amina, myself, and Benjamin were there. And then we have also operational team meeting. It was mostly monthly, but also it changes. Depends on the needs as well. Sometimes we meet more often because there's a newsletter coming out, or less often because there's less going on. And there's also a lot of ad hoc meetings for certain projects and meeting with volunteers as well. So that's like the active online sessions that we had. And when it comes to projects, the core project of the year, one of it was the online community course for 2023. And in 2023, we have less community calls, and we were doing it quarterly. We had in total 4 calls throughout the whole year with 4 different topics. The first call was to share with everyone about the GENOA metamorph, about the way ahead, and about how people can be connected and active in GENOA. The second call was with the invited guest speaker talking about financial literacy for communities. And then the third call, we talk about cultivating deep learning through eco-village travel, and also kind of sensing with the network how everyone's is doing or has interest in eco-village travel. We plan to invite Rafa Matt Travel to the call, but he couldn't make it, so he sent a video sharing about Matt Travels afterwards. And the last call of the year we had was about micro gifting from Community for Community. We had with friends from with Deepa from India, and what's the guy's name? There was of Adil from Bumi College as well, and there was the idea of how we can circulate microfinance, but as gift inside the community, and how that can also be beneficial for communities of GENOA. So in general, each of the online calls have about 20-25 people present, and there were also a lot of people watch the recordings afterwards on YouTube as well. So I counted over 300 people either joined or watched the videos. So that's the community call. Next, we go to the Healing Circle, which is also one of our flagship projects. For the Healing Circle in 2023, most of the early part of the year was spent for having internal meetings among the team and some friends to kind of form how we want to do the Healing Circle. So we want to bring some new elements compared to 2022. And then the first circle of 2023 started in November, and it's it has been happening since. So from November to now, monthly circle with the new name, the Healers Eco Village, and was also a new approach. We now combining the circle way practice with sharing, with witnessing, with being present, and also we bring in poems and songs. And there were also poems and songs composed by our participants from joining these circles, and we have been sharing that in GENOA website and newsletter as well. So that has been also another highlight of last year. And third, also a very important project, we had it's a project, but it's also a consultancy with an organization, a business called 10x Growth from India, focusing on building financial self-sufficiency strategies for GENOA. We started this project from September 2023, and we have engaged in, I think, over 15 or from 15 to 20 different meetings with them. And now the project, it's in the part of concluding. So we are putting together every documents, file, suggestion from 10x Growth in order to share it with the council and with everyone in the core team of GENOA, and also see how we want to move from there. What is it that we can learn and apply in our next steps for GENOA? And more to this, maybe if you have question, we can also reply to, and Na can also share later, because she's also part of the team. You can see the photos here is the team from GENOA, Na, myself, Amit, and this is Virtual and Karan from 10x Growth. Oh, and also I just want to acknowledge that Amina and Ajay were also a very active part of this project. And is it, yeah, last but not least, is a collaboration project, which is very exciting because this is the first time that we do a south to south collaboration with friends from Gen Africa and Casa Latina on the project called From Ubuntu to Kapwa. This is a project that we built to be part of the Conscious Food System Alliance, COPSA incubator. We applied for their funding, and because the project was tailored to the funding, so it was a very short-term project from October to 2023 to March 2024, and now the project is also in the period of concluding. It has also serves some very nice online sessions, inviting wisdom keepers of different countries to share practices around food, and also have in-person activities. So that's the last project that I want to share for 2023. And aside from projects, 2023 is also the year where we see a lot of the comebacks of in-person gatherings. We really see we're stepping out of the post-pandemic area. So a lot of gatherings were happening around the network, and members of GENOA also were participating in different gatherings. So for example, we had Na joining the second Asia Ecoversities gathering in Vietnam. Amina was in the Learning Societies and Conference in India, and also in the Gaia Calling at the end of the year in Thailand, where she met Om and Sejong and a lot of other members of the network. And Benjamin and Topsy from INEP were at the European Eco-Village gathering in Germany last year, while I myself was part of the Kincentric Leadership Retreat in Finhorn, also in mid-year September. And finally, at the end of the year, we had the Dances of Universal Peace International Camp in Vietnam, where Luvi and I was there, and so there was a lot of other members of the network, like Kai from Japan, Sejong, and other friends in Next Gen Korea also were there. And it happened in an intentional communities in Vietnam that we are hoping to bring them into the network as well. So, and I think there's a lot more other gatherings happening around the network that are not mentioned here. also just to acknowledge that in-person courses and in-person gatherings are making a really strong comeback, starting from last year. And next is some numbers for communication. So I'll pass this back to Lubian.
Can I just also share that, just to mention that GENOA has also been part of the Gen Resilience project, which has been going for 2.5 years, and that Kin and
Yes.
Lubian have been part of and attending meetings. I think that's really worth a mention, especially as we come into the new project starting really soon, where we're hoping that the regions can be working more with local communities. Yeah, different version of the project.
Yes, thank
you,
you.
Ruby. We can, yeah, definitely. We should add that to our projects that we are part of this year. And yeah, I'll just continue with the communications for 2023. Are you still sharing screen? Hello.
I can. 1 second.
I think my internet is also a bit off here.
It's ready.
Yeah. So this 2023 we published 8 issues of GENOA newsletter. We changed our format of newsletter from like the frequency from monthly to bi-monthly. And this is to adjust to the changes and how much time and effort we can, especially me, I can put to GENOA. And also there's 697 subscribers to the newsletter at the moment, till this point. For our social media, it's actually like we're toning down most of our social media activities. Also, mostly sharing what is already in the newsletter, and we share it to the social media without much more other content. And we have our Facebook page reach is like 8.5K. Instagram reach is 975. It's a little bit like we dropped from last year, 2022, because we also have less activities. But there are some new followers on our Facebook page, about 155 of them, and new followers on Instagram page, 85 of them. So yeah, that's communications for 2023. Moving on, back to you, Ken.
Thanks, Lubian. And this is my last page on activities. Just want to give a team update. So for Ops, we celebrated Natalie joining us as our bookkeeper. And the whole Ops team now are Keen, Lubian, and Natalie. And we're still working fully voluntary. And that was the agreement at the end of 2022 as well. And since last year, we have not been able to build any new project that bring in income generation. So this is still the status of the team for now. We also have downsized the work to fit with our voluntary hours as well. And it seems to be working well for the team, I hope. And for the council, we have Amina, Salea, Benjamin, and Karen in the council, and Karen, Benjamin, and myself as the network steward representatives. And even though Ops members are not part of the council, but we still remain joining council meetings to have more conversation and presence, and also bring updates to the council. And lastly, for volunteer, this year actually we had really great support from volunteer and different projects. And we also found out that it's easier for volunteers to work on really task-based and project-based activities. So we have Link supporting Amina in the Healers Eco Village. We have Kaja supported the From Ubuntu to Capra project, and Kaja also supported me in one of the community goal organization as well. Kaja is from India. And we also have Amit from India, who supported the project, consultancy project with 10x Growth. And he's also now supporting the team forming Gen India. So that's about the team. I'll stop share now and just want to open if there's any question, comments, additional point that you want to share. And in addition, I have a link to the GENOA report for Gen annual report that we have finished. I'll put it in the chat and send it in the email after as well, so you can take a look. It has more like a comprehensive notes of different activities also in other part of the network, like the national networks. Yeah. So anyone wants to raise any new points that we have missed or ask questions? Amina, go ahead.
Yes, Luvian, I had a question for you regarding the social media reach and followers. Just wishing to understand a little bit more. When you say social media reach, it's about our posts, right? The posts we are sharing, and those are the followers for those are decreasing. Is that right? So overall, followers have increased.
Yes, so for reach is like how much the posts are seen by different people. That's all throughout our posts in 2023. That one compared to the reach in 2022, it decreased. So that's why they have the down arrow there. But the new followers are like the new followers on the Facebook page. That's added how much followers we gain throughout the year. So is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Mm.
And Ken just wanted to know about the Ubuntu to Kapwa project. I'm always wondering about funded projects and how important they are and how exciting they are for people at grassroots and our movement. But also just thinking through this, there's a conversation that's happening in Gen International, which I wanted to leave everybody with, and maybe truly historically, maybe it's been thought of, is that Gen does a lot of great projects, short-term projects. And then once these projects are done, they go into some sort of an oblivion, right? They go into our website, and then people who were on that project also not meeting long-term, and impact is measured, reports are written. And we are trying to understand how we can take these projects into the future and continue to grow and develop them, and especially make them income generating for people who were involved in them. So in context of that, also thinking about Ubuntu to Kappa is, yes, it was a funded project and it created great interregional interaction and bonding and sharing and, I guess documenting wisdom. But if you were to see the impact of this, say 3 to 5 years from now, can we have that kind of an imagination to develop these further into the future? So yeah, that's just a thought I would leave everyone with. And if there's any response to that, I also see Trudy and Benjamin's hands up.
Yeah, I'm just gonna respond to that really quickly. I think it's a very good point. And for this project, since it was really short, when it ended, the project team, in particular, Margarita, Sonita, Sarah, and myself, we are also in discussion with Gaia Ed and KOFSA about how we can continue all of the different networks, topics, materials that we have opened from this project, because we all still see a lot of values in it and want to integrate it in more courses, and especially potentially bring it into some educational activities with Gaia Ed and with trainers, EDE trainers. And it's still an ongoing conversation, but the intention is very much there, really strong about continue not letting the project just kind of die off from the end of the funded period. So I just want to add that. And Trudy, and then Benjamin.
Yeah, just a couple of things. Just actually firstly, in relation to what you shared, Amina, about the funded projects. Yes, it's definitely a pattern. And I think just looking at it through the Gen Resilience Project lens, I think one of the outputs that we're working on is like an online course, which potentially could be an income earner. And I think those are the kinds of ideas we want to look at for funded projects, how they can continue. But one of the things we've also done is got further funding for another 2.5 years. So this project will go for 5 years, but the second project will build on the first project. So it's going to diversify and it's going to reach out to more communities and it's going to build capacity. So hopefully get the regions more involved so that there can be more like kind of, I don't know what you say, filtration or going down into the communities on the ground. And I think these are the important things to think about funded projects, like how can it continue to feed communities and the network and then continue to also go on by itself. But the little question that I did have was about a technical question. In one of the slides, you said that you're fully volunteers. Does that mean no stipends at all? And you guys are just, there's like no funding in the bank account at the moment. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see the financials to see what's going on. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Judy. So yes, the whole team volunteer and the finance now we'll mention a bit later. We will go to Benjamin before passing back to Na.
Yeah, I also wanted to make a little comment on that part. So I was amazed and surprised to hear that all three of you are working fully voluntarily. Because that wasn't the case at the start of this year. I think there was still a little amount that you were able to receive, if I remember correctly. So I was curious to hear how that shift came about, but also really wanted to add very, very deep gratitude that the three of you are willing to do this. And as you said, Ken, are feeling good with the way things are arranged at the moment. That's really amazing, very powerful. And I really want to express my gratitude for that.
Thank you, Benjamin. Yeah, so maybe we pass to the finance and then we can kind of connect the thread.
Yeah, and maybe
There's
in
also the
your,
question in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Maybe Naka, you can address my question also in the chat when you go through the finance.
Okay. Can I pause your question till the end, Judy, and we'll go through the slides? And King, can you share screen? Because my internet is dodgy.
I can. Give me a sec.
Thank you. So I joined halfway through last year as bookkeeper. And I've just really dived into all the reports and I'm probably going to reimagine them to be a little bit different because we're now operating on WISE. So can I have the next slide, please? So previous, Kin, correct me if I get this wrong. So previous you had a bank account and some other things you're operating out of, and now this year or last year, it's just the WISE account. So WISE is an online bank account basically, and it can have different pots for different currencies. At the moment, we actually have these 3 pots, and this year we have also Japan and Thailand, but it's just a way of us being able to move funds around with minimum fees and quite fast. And to kind of link into the question that Judy you had about the fees on Ubuntu to Kapwa. So it was new for us, and we just this last maybe month and a half held the funds and distributed them as GENOA. So that's a new thing for 2024, and it was new for all of us. So we just muddled our way through that. And yeah, we have to take an admin fee because WISE has fees when it's transferring in and out of continents and countries and currencies. It's not massive, it's smaller than a bank, but it's still a fee. And it varies depending on where you're sending the money. So I haven't got an exact answer. When people ask me, how much is this going to be? I have to actually do the transfer in WISE, like a practice one, to see how much the fee will be. And it does vary with different banks in a country too. So that's something that I'm going to look into more so we can have a protocol If anyone's worked with me, you know I'm all about processes. So I want to write a process for this so it's easy to understand the next time we do it. So these are the currencies, and the reason why they're split. Next year, I'm going to do the accounting in 3 currencies in total at the end. But this year for 2023, I've done it all in pounds because that's our main currency. And you'll see what I mean in a second. So this is the only slide where you see the 3 currencies. Everything else is going to be in pounds. Any questions on this? I'll take questions as we go through because it's numbers. So any questions on this slide?
Just a quick comment is that GENOA has only ever had a WISE account. We've never had any other account.
Okay.
This is the only way we've been able to open a bank account. And maybe this other question will come later about the admin fee for the Ubuntu to Kapwa project, so I can hold it. It might be something that's up for further discussion, so I'll let you go through and then I'll bring that other question later.
Thanks. Okay, next slide, please, Kim. So this is an overview of what came in and what came out. So blue is what came in. Whoa. She's going crazy. Okay, so blue is what came in. Green is what has been spent or cycled into projects, as I like to call it. And yellow is not spent or not allocated in any sort of spending, so it's in the pot for GENOA. And you'll see that we have a lot of the stipends. So the biggest spend was stipends, but it was from the year before. It was 2022. So they weren't stipends actually from 2023. But I think the way that people would come to the end of the year, then they invoice and it falls into the next financial year. So those are stipends that we paid out, but they weren't actually from last year, if that makes sense. And can I go to the next slide, Kim? Because it gives a bit more of a breakdown on the numbers. So this is the income that came in. This is all of the money incoming from all of our different currencies. So Resilience Project was the biggest because it was a specific project that Kin and Luvian were working on. NSC reports, that was from Jen to go to Trudy for doing some specific reports. Friends of Gaia. And then donations from individuals for the healing circles. Well, that's now called the Healers Eco Village. So sorry, I'll relabel that. And then donations for the DUP, which came in and then went out again because it was for DUP. So any questions on where our income has come from last year? No? Okay.
Why? I have a question. Why is FOG minus?
None of them are minus, they're all dashes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got it.
And expenditure. So although there's a difference between Resilience Project. One second. So the Resilience Project money's in was 3,520, and then you see the difference there. So it was noted down as a donation from Kin and Nuvian back to GENOA, but it's effectively the admin fee. We didn't have a system in place at the time when that happened. So that's the difference between what's come in and what's come out. And the rest of those are pretty straightforward. It's just the total amounts that have been paid out. So donations to UP came in and then went straight out. Stipends were all due from 2022. The Regen Seed Fund was again for our top project from Regen, and that was sent out a little bit later. Next Gen spent 350. They have a separate pot, and they spent 350 of their 550 pot. 10X has a budget of 2,000, and so far we've spent 1,000, and that's 594 on the fees from Wise. Admin is purely just the Zoom account. Legal is reports with Trudy, and then the Green and Conference was funds that we had to send back from a previous amount they gave us that we were returning the balance. I believe that was also from 2022, not from last year. So I'm hoping this year I'm gonna try and keep ahead of everything and have most of the spending in the year that it's reported. Otherwise it kind of gets a bit confusing when we're looking at the reports. And then, yeah, to answer your question, Trudy, about Ubuntu to Kapwa, that actually falls in 2024. So it was a 10%. So GENOA received the funds in, and I think initially we aimed for 10%, but we haven't done the final numbers because of the wise transfers. So we're taking the wise fees, which we didn't realize how high they would be, out of the GENOA 10%. So I don't know what the final figures are because Sunita hasn't, we haven't paid Sunita. There's a tranche left that has to go out, so it will have some transfer fees in it. But I think there was also an issue when they budgeted or when they forecast to receive the funds into Cameroon, there was a really big difference in how much came in versus how much was sent. So these are things, they're all learnings for different projects. So we've hosted 2 projects to receive the funds in and then to administer them out. And they both came in at the same time and they confused me a lot. So we've learned a lot in this last month. Yes, Judy.
So just for clarity, so the money for Ubuntu to Kapwa came to Cameroon and then it came to the GENOA Wise account and then GENOA distributed it. So why did it go to Cameroon
Asia.
first?
Yeah. Sorry,
So-
it covers it because that's, I don't know. Can you answer why I went to Cameroon first?
Because the Better One Cameroon is the leading organization, so their name it's the main receiver of the fund, and UNDP only send it to the lead organization, and then the lead organization have to disperse the money through the projects. And that was quite something that we didn't anticipate. Receiving money in Cameroon was very challenging, and we
Exactly.
lost huge amounts in between.
Exactly. Oh my goodness.
And
Yeah.
also it didn't come until 2024 when it was meant to come in last year, which is why it's fallen in this year, not last year.
Yeah. So yeah, that's something to think about if you're going to think about further projects is what organization it goes into, especially the how easy it is to get it into a certain country. And Cameroon is well known for being really difficult. And then also like the conversion rates and then the transfer fee costs. So sometimes even 10% is not enough, especially when you're looking at these international transfers. But it's not just the transfers that you need to take into account when you're doing accounting like this. You got to take into account staff time. And I know you guys don't get paid and it's very commendable, but you need to get paid for your time. You need to be valued for what you do, you know? So I think that admin fee should cover, you know, Natalie's time, for example, working on the transfers and so on. So just things to think about for future projects, you know?
Yeah, like a procedure and a process. Now I know what it takes to do each of the different things. I think I can schedule because I was being asked to forecast how much this is. I'm like, I've never done it. I don't know how to forecast that. So I need to do it first to forecast it. But now I have a really clear understanding, I think.
Yeah, great. Good lessons.
And also just to add that apart from Ubuntu to Papua, there's the second project that Na mentioned that we hold the money for, which is an Ecolis project on bioregional governance in Indonesia. And Sarah was the coordinator of that project, and that money also coming into GENOA's account.
And you guys will get and GENOA will get to 10%. We'll get an admin fee for that too. Okay. Yeah, I think maybe now as you go forward and being the treasurer and doing all these forecasting and budgets, just really check whether 10% is enough. And maybe it's somewhere between 10 and 15 that you will need to negotiate on, you know, and it's okay to negotiate and say what is actually needed, you know?
Yeah. Any questions on numbers?
I just want to add that because since the reporting up for 2023, there are also certain budget or fund coming in that you wouldn't see because those are more recent, like the Ubuntu to Kapwa and also the healing circles, the Healers Eco Village new circles also received quite a number of ticket fee, but it wouldn't show because it's in 2024.
Okay, so that concludes the financial reports. There are no other questions. I pass back to Kim.
Thanks. I just want to check with everyone if there's anything else either about activities or finance of 2023 that you want to bring up before we move on. And I know Amina's probably not here. She said she's going to be away for 20 minutes.
Trudy left.
Hello, Judy.
Just want to say a little
Hi.
word of thanks for putting out those figures, those details in the slides so nicely. Thank you for that, Nat.
Thanks, Benjamin. Okay. Like we told you, we didn't prepare the part for 2024 for this meeting. So that's still gonna be discussed in the team and to be shared later. But if there's any comments, updates, ideas that you want to put in for 2024, I think like even what we mentioned earlier about the process, the finance process, and you know, how GENOA can have like a clear process about admin fees when we host different projects. It will also be in plan for execution in 2024 as well. So if there's anything else that you want to comment around that, please feel free to. And the last part of our meeting is really just to collect any points of updates, discussion, or even legal matters that you want to bring up. I saw a hands from Trudy's first, and then Benjamin.
Sorry, I got logged off by accident, but just a quick question, because you said about any further comments about last year's report. And I was just curious about the Metamorph project and really the outcomes of that have been looking to more of how GENOA can be financially sustainable, right? That's one of the main things. Did you feel, did you feel like that was a worthwhile project that you and Olivia and Kin took on? And that there are like some really strong further directions beyond that?
I think I can reply first, and then Luvian, or maybe Benjamin as well. So the Metamorph project was in 2022, and its focus was actually around resuffering the priorities of GENOA and what kind of structure we should have in order to fulfill the basic functions that we have. And a small part of it was about financial sustainability, but the end of the project didn't produce very thorough financial strategies for income generation, and that's actually what we took on with the 10x growth project last year, 2023. And for Meta, I think it's for me at least, is get clear what would be the key function that we need to allocate our resource on, regardless of how much funding is there, if we are making income or not. And that's also where we downsize the operations function to what's minimum that needs to be there. And we also had 3 project ideas at the end of Metamorph to continue develop. Number 1 is the travel. Number 2 was the next phase of regeneration. And number 3, I think, was the idea on gathering. And then we brought that to discussion with 10x growth in the last year as well, hoping that we can build a strong income generation plan on top of these ideas. But it was not straight out of Metamorph. Like, we didn't have a financial strategies coming out of Metamorph. Just want to clarify that. And anything else? Maybe I stop here, and Luvian and Benjamin, if you want to add anything for Metamorph, go ahead.
Benjamin has his hands up, so you can go first, Benjamin.
No, my hand is actually for another question after Trudy's question, so I can go after you, Luvian, on this topic.
Okay. I think for GENOA, the Metamorph project, if the question is like whether it's worth it to do. Yeah, I felt like it gave me and Ken at least time and space for us to study and learn what are the structures of the network that you and our predecessors already created. I think running the operations in the day-to-day basis doesn't give us time to do that, and this project gives us time to do that. And then we also get to meet and talk with the members of the network, so it also gives space for that to gain more clarity and understanding about the network and what are the needs of the network for different categories of members, like people of eco villages and people that are individuals in transitions. So this project helped us to gain that kind of understanding. We also identified the three things that you mentioned about income generating potential. Also, that project, also that project we did it in 2022. Also, kind of like still in pandemic situation. Things have changed since then, so I think the terrain also changed a little bit. But there are more in-person activities, and also our volunteering hours have been like the amount that we have been able to engage with GENOA from the ops team and the people that work on it also decreases. So yeah, now we kind of like use that understanding and see like how to maximize, make it more impactful whenever we have time and energy to work with GENOA activities and operations. So I think it's helpful in that sense, giving us framework and to see what are the things we can do in GENOA. Yeah, over to you then, Benjamin. And then if Trudy have anything else to respond first, maybe.
No, all right. Yeah. Yeah, with regards to the financial situation, Metamorph did contribute what I think can also mention the 2 or 3 best positioned sorts of projects that I could engage in to generate income. And 2023 was going to be all about investing the little budget that we have into making 1, possibly 2 of these generate some income for GENOA. That actually leads to the question that I had, for which I raised my hand, which is when I look at the budget, we opened with about 14,000 and we spent 8,000 over 2023. But as I understood from now, that was about 6,000 that was actually spent over the year 2022, if I remember correctly, and now. So does that mean that we ran a budget deficit of 2,000, losing 2,000 pounds over the year? Is that correct?
We spent 12,000 last year because it's across 3 currencies. Let me just get the slide again. 1 sec. And I can't speak to all the budgets because not all the items are budgeted. So but I'm going to budget them for this year.
Yeah, so it would be good to have a clear understanding of exactly the amount of money that we started and what we spent over the year 2023 and what we have left. Because if it's anywhere close to having spent such a large sum of our remainder of our budget, then, well, our focus was supposed to be like make sure that we spend the money that we have in a way that is going to generate more income, because otherwise we will be soon without any money at all.
Yeah,
what's that?
I believe that will be the case because there's no income coming in, but the biggest budget was stipends from 2022, so that I'm assuming that was budgeted in 2022. It's just not budgeted last year because I don't know, it's not in the budget that I was given, but it's something that you've earmarked, I guess, from the previous year. Our spending was actually
also maybe add a bit of clarification here, because the last AGM we did was in March, and the 2022 stipends was spent before March. So when we met last year in the AGM at March and saying that we're gonna kind of basically go into a very saving mode, then that chunk for 2022 spend was already spent. So actually from the last AGM till now, the only big amount of money that we spent was for the 10x Force project. There was
Yeah, which is
pretty much
1,000
nothing
until
else.
now.
Yeah, just legality
Okay.
and admins.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, from from a distance, the impression that I get is 2023 was a year for us to practice how to go about those little resources that we have, how to spend it wisely and hopefully productively. It looks like it's been a good practice round, and I'm hopeful and looking forward to ask the team, particularly the operations team, to really use that practice to build upon what was learned and experienced, and really try and make that money that we still have generate more money. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, and I think we can link that possibly to a couple of comments for 10x. So, and I think this will link into your question, Trudy, about the financial plan. So 10x consultancy is kind of closing now. And we're, as Kin said, we're looking for the outputs to gather those for our own learning and also to share out with anyone who wants to share them. It's fairly clear, I think, from where we are now, that with the amount of financial resources we have to find other resources. And this is all going to be obvious to you people in this room, but it's not necessarily obvious to people who work outside of the development world. So we need either humans and people to do the stuff, or we need funds to pay for the people to do the stuff, which is, I think, a constant challenge in our environment. So we're waiting for the 10x outputs. And in terms of a plan, there's a marketing plan and there are several different operational ideas. However, the main challenge again is that we don't have enough people or money to execute those ideas within what we currently hold now. So we'd have to go outside and find skilled people or more money to employ skilled people. So skilled volunteers or more money to employ people as a contract to do that work. And I think one of the things that we've really decided is that we don't, although ironically we are operating for free in the core team, I don't want to ask people to volunteer on a project that's aimed to create money. It kind of goes against, it goes against all of our ideas about this, right? But we are where we are right now. So we're trying to work out a way to create something from what we have. At the moment, personally for me, it's still, we have a lot of resources. We have the whole of the regen course, and I think it can be done. And I'm trying to find ways that we can find people to do work on it pro bono. But right now we're waiting for the outputs. And once we've got the outputs, we'll share them with the council, and then we'll ask for kind of like a round of what we want to do next.
Yeah, now, is it potentially an idea if the time gap in between isn't too long, to pay one or more people after, let's say, a certain income has been received? So they say, let's say they start working on a project, and we say, after 2 months you'll receive your stipend or your whatever you want to call it, when the income of the project is received. Is that potentially a possibility?
It is a possibility, but in my professional opinion, what needs to be done is not within our budget.
Right.
Basically. And that's very realistic. Even to create a new website, we are creating a new website with another volunteer that's happening now. But the things that we need to put money into, because this is lead generation, this is getting people in front of us, which is money, it's pure money. So yeah. So the main drive at the beginning was to find a joint venture partner, and that was feeling hopeful to me until we saw the realities of how much it's going to cost. If I was a joint venture partner, I wouldn't be putting in this amount of money, honestly, to something I didn't know about. So I don't think it's an unrealistic pathway forward. But as I say, I don't want to sound super negative, but I just want to wait until we've got the outputs from 10x, and then it's to create a funnel. It's nothing shocking, Judy. It's to create a sales funnel. So to do outreach, to do posts, to do a short course, and then to run a short course into a larger course, to run a large course into Regen Nations, to run Regen Nations into travel. But that creates, so we have Regen Nations, we don't have the short courses or the single courses, and we know how much it takes to create those. And they were basically saying, oh, your volunteers can do that, this person can do that, this person can do that. And I'm like, no, we can't ask volunteers to create short courses. It's not viable. So we really, and I think, as I said, us sitting in this room probably knew this already, but it was an experiment to see what we can learn from the business side and what things we can put together. And I think Kin and I can both say we're still positive that there's going to be some good things that come out of this. And yeah, it's super saturated. I agree, it's super saturated. But the Eco-Village travel idea, which was the one they wanted to push, and they pushed really hard in the beginning, we don't have the infrastructure. We have never run an Eco-Village travel program. So in terms of like doing that as a team, that's not where Kin and I's interests lie. So if we're not even interested in doing that activity, then you've got to find something that suits the team. That's our main drive now. So the work for me, it's fine for me to work on this because I believe in Genoa and I want it to continue, but I'm going to control how much work I do and how many hours I put in. So if we're all self-directed, I think that's how we feel so comfortable about it, because we're doing this, we believe in it, and we're happy to give our time to maintain it.
Yeah, so I just want to add from a personal perspective, I think there's always a tension of building an income generating projects with the current resources that we have, but at the same time, people like me and now, we still want to work on the project, but we cannot invest that much time at once. So it has to kind of go with our own pace and in consideration with other things that we are doing. So it's a lot slower than what a normal entrepreneur project would be. And I think that's quite a shock to 10X as well, how slow we proceed. But it's also a reality of it, because even if we bring in new volunteers, they also need to have support and be guided on like very task specific. If we're looking forward to have volunteers to build like a brand new income generation project, that's just too difficult for them, and also not very fair, not a very fair ask. But Nai and I are still very keen to keep exploring around education and what we can do. And it doesn't have to be an online course. It could be like a hybrid model, and maybe plugging into what are being done in different parts of the region as well, because there are so many different courses going on. And so there were ideas of doing gatherings in Auroville, in Thailand. So I think it's more the matter of mobilizing resources and putting things in place and see where it's good for Genoa to play a part. Because I also don't want to do redundant things that others have been doing as well. Okay, anyone wants to have more comment on this? I think just to recap the follow-up from the 10X goals, we will be sending you, the council, and I'll CC you as well, Trudy, the files and learnings that we have received from 10X, and then we'll continue the conversation from there as well, like how do we want to follow up with the result of that project. When do we hope to discuss the 2024 activities? It's a good question. At the moment, we have just a quick overview. We have the Healing Circle, the Healers Eco Village, still going on. We still plan for community calls, and we have the website, which is something new. We have a web engineer who's volunteering with us, and he's helping us to add a lot of extra functions on the website that we couldn't do with the current WordPress template. And we're also talking about this conversation with Jen as well, because Jen is not very keen to keep updating their Eco-Village map. So maybe we'll actually bring it into a regional map, plug it in the website, so that we can really bring more service to the network through our website, like really play the network function with our website better. So that's another in plan for this year. And then for income generation projects, we haven't started building concrete plan yet because we are still follow up from the 10x Worlds project. So I think that's also why at the end of this call, I would love to just hear if there's any point, idea, or inspirations or connections from anyone that connect to 2024 of GENOA. Then we'll follow up with that in the ops before bringing it back to you all. That could maybe be the last round for today, like just looking into 2024. What are you seeing for GENOA? Or could just be thoughts, you know, it doesn't have to be super concrete. Yeah, shall we make like a final round of comments, thoughts for 2024? Anyone's ready can start, and then we can just pass it around.
Just before we start, I just wanted to also say, in terms of legal matters, we have to make a form. We have to fill a form, Kin, to pass over the treasurer role to you. So can you just remind me? I can, yeah, I've got the form. I've just got to work with you to get it done and sent in. That's all.
Anina, you've got your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so just thinking into 2024, I'm just sensing that what could really help us move forward is some very concrete partnerships. You know, in the mainstream world, we call it, acquisitions and mergers. So whatever is the equivalent of that in the regenerative space. I think at the place where we are, it's really a chicken and egg story, right? There are things we should be doing, but we can't do them because either there's no capacity or there is no personal interest in doing those things or personal skills in doing those things. But where the regenerative movement is concerned, we know that there are things we need to do. So how can we do them in collaboration with others, and who will be those collaborators, and what would be the terms and agreements for that, so that we can leverage their resources and capacities, but continue our vision. And the other thought I had maybe earlier this year, I think I'd shared it with Kin, is this possibility of having a physical team, maybe somewhere in Australia, Melbourne. I was considering that because when I met Dorota Owens in Oroville, and she was spending a lot of time in Australia in Narara Eco Village, and she, I think, has friends and people she can leverage on to maybe, you know, pull through some volunteers, maybe one paid person. That can also reactivate the Australian movement. So those are two things that are at the top of my mind and heart right now. So I don't know what the possibility is. I would like to hear Trudy's thoughts on that. Has Dorota been in touch with you, Trudy?
Yeah, but I didn't have a chance to meet up with her.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's great. She's got ideas and resources and a lot of energy.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I think
Dorota,
something is possible if we give it some focus.
Yeah, Dorota, it was, just to give people context, she was someone that used to work at a really big kind of they called it eco village. I don't know if it was an actual eco village in Beijing, in China. And I went to China with Kosha many years ago to do this like workshop, introduction to the eco village design cards with Dorota, and she was there in this community for a long time, but she's also part of Findhorn. So she did a back and forth between China and Findhorn for many years. And then she finally left China, and now she's kind of globally traveling on a mission to share lots of things. Yeah. So maybe just quickly building on what Amina said, one of the things that came to mind thinking about like what came out of Metamorph and all these things. And I keep thinking that, you know, for GENOA to really exist, it's a network, right? And you can't, it's not really going to work if you don't have the network, and the network is the eco villages. So you've got to still build that foundation. So one of the things that kept coming to mind was maybe having bioregional gatherings as the way to support the local national networks. Because Australia, for example, is really struggling. Nobody meets at all in Gen Australia. People don't have time. And I keep sharing also that, one of the things the need is to connect communities, and that's why regional networks like GENOA also exist. So how can we partner with national networks in order to maybe have bioregional gatherings, also similar to what DUP do? DUP holds smaller gatherings in countries and then holds a regional gathering. And so much comes from that face-to-face meeting. And it could be a paid event where GENOA generates income, but then through that, maybe other smaller projects or social enterprises can emerge. So kind of really thinking about that was a big one that came to mind. Yeah, it's a way to build connection, but also to build and ignite the local networks. Yeah.
Thanks, Trudy. Thanks, Amina. Who else wants to step in? Your ideas, vision for 2024? Benjamin?
I can go next because I feel like what I'm feeling really builds upon what Amina and Trudy have expressed. Like when Amina was speaking, what I sort of felt was this image of, when I don't know if it makes sense at all, but when mass becomes more dense, it spins faster and it has greater gravity. So it becomes more intense, like when something is spinning and then you make the space of that which is spinning smaller, it starts spinning faster. So to draw closer to each other and focalize the energies on something that creates a good ripple effect, good multiplier effect, would be, feels to be very sensible. And wow, I think for the rest of my mind draws a blank at the moment. I wanted to add something to what Trudy said. I think something about the interconnections, the in-person gatherings, what that can ignite, to strengthen the network. This is also something that came out quite strongly from the Metamorph project. And these 2 points, I think, connect very, very well with each other, the point of Amina and the point of Trudy. So I want to second that very wholeheartedly.
Super. Thanks, Benjamin. Nah, go ahead.
I want to just elaborate a little bit on the website or the vision that I, maybe Kin, have for the website. I think it's the same. So the website isn't just, it's being made from scratch, built from scratch, not in WordPress at all. So the volunteer is very keen to be the holder of this forever. He believes and he's going to help. So one of the things I think, like speaking to what Trudy said, is it's a network. And what's a network? And I keep having these conversations in different networks. The purpose of a network is to connect people, and it's to provide a hub of some sorts for some reason. So the website, we're hoping, will be a place that people can go to find all of our region's eco-villages. One of the challenges we have with the main GEM website is that we can't add eco-villages to the map. And that's one of the functions we want, because I visit the villages in Thailand and projects in Thailand, and it's difficult to get them to go online because they're not online people. They're earth people. That's why they're in a field in the forest. So for Thailand specifically, I want to go and make sure that we've got all of the people that are doing stuff so they can be on the map and they can connect together. We're also hoping to have everyone will have their own page. So if you have a project, like for instance, Lazy Man in Mae Wang near me, they have a Facebook page, but they don't have an internet page because they don't want to deal with it and they don't want to pay for it. So the vision is that the GENOA website can be like a website for everybody. So you can have a page and they can have it, and we can try and direct all of the traffic to this page and then back out. So into the center, then out. This will also help with our reach and anything that anyone wants to launch via. So it's kind of like the network coming together. It's free. He's literally building it. He's hard coding it with his fingers. There's no platform. So it's going to be updatable by us in like process. It's like literally just putting it in. Because the problem we have with Gen is that it's so stuck. You know, I can't even add a plugin to it, so I can't function. And I build WordPress websites, simple ones for people. So at the moment, we're really, really restricted by what we can and can't do. And even Gen can't work their own website. So they want to renew it, but they don't have the volunteers to do it. And Kin magically found this man. So it's great. So this is the main driver of doing the website now, is to try and make that something that's actually a tool for the network to use and for us to become more visible together. Because exactly what you said, Benjamin, the more of us there are together in the same space, the more that we can attract that. And I have friends who are marketing experts who are ready to give us the advice and help us to do those bits when the website's done. So that's kind of like our backup plan. Yeah, the link is nothing to do with the domain hosting. It's just the physical. It's like the address of the house is the same, but we're rebuilding the house from scratch with mud bricks. Yeah. Pass to Luvian.
Yeah, thank you. I think just from the discussion here, I have this kind of like idea going on in my head. I feel like and thought. I feel like one of our struggle in Genoa is that we haven't find a operational or business model that works for us in terms of like connecting the network, also in terms of like finance and creating impact that we want and delivering it in the way that we want it. So I feel like it's kind of like one thing we need to one of the things that we need to figure out going forward, especially maybe this year, is like how do we run as a organization and network model and this and that, but I've also and what are the exchanges that happens financially in terms of work from different for the different people that are involved, different categories of people, of different stakeholders that are involved. I'm just thinking, just to throw it out there, like what I have in mind at the moment is like, well, how I see Genoa, we have like two very distinct communities in Genoa, the eco-village practitioners who are doing eco-village work, building communities on the ground, like Gaya Ashram, Narara, and S1 communities. Then we also have the individuals. And these are something that I feel like each have different needs, and I feel like when we see Genoa, especially in the core team, and how do we leverage these two communities when we think about the eco villages on the ground, as Na mentioned, everybody is like earth people and really don't really have time and space or attention. They have like things on the ground they have to do. So not a lot of energy to work to do online administrative tasks probably, but there are like this pool of people. So I think like how we engage them in Genoa is I think what would be helpful for them is probably like how technical know-hows, volunteers, and this and that. So to help them work, develop their projects, also funding. So another
Is he frozen?
is the individuals and transition people that are like this for energy, and we can hear me. My internet is a little bit off.
You're back, but maybe turn off your video so signal is better.
Okay. Yeah. Did you catch me until the point?
We got until the end of the eco-village part,
Oh yeah.
and you were talking about individual.
Okay. So with individuals in transition, we have like we have people that are actually like doing projects outside. They might not have a project, but they are willing to support, volunteer, and this and that. and usually people have work in the city or something like that, or some other commitments that they have, and they are not able to participate directly in eco village projects, but they are willing to support in whatever capacity they are able to. So I think like this energy we can tap into in Genoa and help. And maybe I'm just seeing like, oh, maybe Genoa can also be this kind of academy, you know, because we already have this or guild. Actually, I really see it as a guild of earth regenerators or something, where we take in people. We already have the eco village design education, help get them on board in this regenerative idea, mindset, way of thinking, the tools, and uh, how how to work in regenerative projects and this and that, volunteering. So yeah, perhaps it can be this guild of people, and then we create projects um, that we curate based on our mission and vision, like what Jen is doing, and then because when with projects, then it's easier to get funding. So in some sense, so these earth warriors, they can like they can do regenerative projects, be engaged in regenerative, make an impact, and also get supported financially through projects. And then yeah, Genoa helps kind of like find the funding for it and create a portfolio of these projects. And yeah, so and then how Genoa gets the money, maybe it's through the guild fee, the membership. So perhaps these people of earth warriors that already go through a Genoa Academy can give back to Genoa to support its development as a community as a guild of people. And then later, if this happens, maybe then we can have this funding, Genoa funding that we can source into developing eco villages, further create programs and projects to empower more people doing regenerative work. Yeah, I think that's roughly. Maybe we can. Yeah, I'm just thinking like the business model or is something that we have to look into moving forward. Yeah, I guess I'll just leave it at that at the moment.
Thanks, Luvian. Maybe if you have time to think about it more concretely, you can email us, text us the details, because we cannot go into details right now since some of us has to leave. I just want to check if Karen want to share something on this topic of Genoa in 2024.
Yes, actually, I have been thinking about Chinese eco-village network, and there are some situations and problems. It's like, especially when I would like to do a lot of work, but there's no enough support of people and money. So I planned to do a lot of things, but I cannot do it. And especially I need to work very hard to make myself and my family survive in this situation. So I'm thinking about the Chinese eco-village network, and there are some eco-villages. They are like developing stably, like Qiandaohu and Qifongshan eco-village, and also Sanshan eco-village. They are developing in their speed. But for the network, it seems it needs some support. And I could be the person, but I need some support, which I don't have right now. And so for Genova, I don't have a very exact detailed ideas, but I would like to discuss with you guys together to make the plan like for GENOA 2024 and to see what we can do together. Maybe I'm hoping some change, some like a fresh energy, fresh ideas, maybe a little bit big change or something. And I also very like to see like people like Trudy yes, can join more often, but I don't know if she has enough time or something like that. So it seems I am like in the situation of if I get a little bit support, I can do a lot of things. But with this, it's like from 0 to 1. But from I can do many things. But if I don't have like the situations, positions, or a little bit support, it's very hard to make the move. But I'm still very optimism about EcoVillage and EcoVillage Network and GENOA and GEN. I'm always with the idea that we can make it and it will be better and better. It's just in the process. We need to do something, but I also don't have the very clear idea. Like I'm not that strong still.
Thank you, Karen. Sorry, are you complete?
One thing is like if I can get some support from Chinese EcoVillage Network, I would like to think what we can do from the like national network to support GENOA. I think maybe I do the step 1 and then I do the step 2. And also maybe we can do more communication between national network or some organizations or some eco-villages between nations. For me, especially cultural communication, culture, language, something like that. Okay.
Thanks, Karen. Yeah, I echoes also the point about building strong national networks, and we have Gen China is underway. It's being stronger than Gen India, and Australia had a very quiet year, but also Tanya said that she's planning to bring back energy, and she's connecting with communities now to see if they're keen to connect. And there seems to be some really great signs from Gen Japan with Kai as well. So I think that's one of the strong threads that I have always wanted to focus on, but it was just challenging. If there's not much communication happening between the national network and GENOA, then there's not much we don't know what we can support. So I think maintaining good communication would really help us to support the national network better. And just one last point from me about 2024, I am getting more and more down to earth. So I think for us, at least from the operation teams, it's just important to see how much we can do with our available resource and commitment. And we'll keep exploring that and sharing with the council. This year, I don't plan to follow through any big projects. Like with Ubuntu Kapwa last year, when I followed with it, it took a lot of time and effort from my side, which I didn't expect at the beginning. But I rather spend that time to actually build connections and network with people in GENOA, and also write on what's happening, like Benjamin, Trudy, and Amina said, because there's so much people are doing. Maybe our part is just to connect these things together and find synchronicity, synergies. We don't have to create anything super new or run everything ourselves. Yeah, that's my point. Okay, so maybe we can just close with if you can still open your camera and your mic. I forgot to take a photo, so let's do it now before everyone leaves. And we can say goodbye just smile, look at each other. Benjamin and Amina, it would be great if you can turn on your video.
Ken, are you okay to do the picture? It's very dark over here now.
Yes, your picture is very nice. I don't know if Amina wants to take the picture of herself as well. I can just take one with all the picture. I'm gonna count from 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, thank you all. We'll be following up about 2024.
Thank you, guys. Good to see you. Bye.
See you.
Thanks, everyone. Let's keep in
Great.
touch.
Yes.